Oh, yeah. Across the National Football League. It's Holden here. I got Tyler. It's been too long, Tyler. Good to see you, pal. March Madness is here. We got baseball starting up 4 in the morning, my time, 6 a.m. It's going on in Tokyo. That's about to start up in the morning on Tuesday morning. So lots going on in the world. Still NBA. I know NASCAR. Yesterday was a tough one for me, but over the weekend, we basically still pushed. I know you're big into the UFC. We're going to talk some NFL, though, today. Talk to me, THT. What's been going on in your world?
Oh, I mean, it's been good. It's been a while since we've talked. I think we haven't talked since right before the playoffs. So, I mean, lots went down in the NFL. A lot of guys have changed teams.
Yeah.
A lot of these odds have moved. So, it's interesting to see what happens. We got a lot of quarterback movement. Yep. My team currently doesn't have a quarterback. We'll talk about that. So,
yeah.
Well, I guess we got to talk about throughout this summer.
We'll stay in your division. He's a Steelers guy, if you didn't know. And shout out to the chat. Anybody watching live right now, how are you? Thank you very much. We appreciate your patronage. Check us out, nukethehouse.com. All right. You want to talk about the Steelers and the issues going on there. Before we do that, the Bengals just signed Chase and Higgins to long-term deals or longer-term deals. I guess they're not 10-year deals, like 4-year deals. But they screwed up too. They should have done this last year.
Yes.
Now who knows what's going to happen with Hendrickson, et cetera, et cetera. The Bengals obviously needed to bring back Chase and Higgins, but this is a franchise that's just lost, man. They can't put a defense together. And more important than anything else, they haven't been able to protect this guy. So while I love the signings of Chase and Higgins, I just wonder if it's going to hamstring them elsewhere, Tyler.
Oh, I think it's definitely going to hamstring them. I mean, $276 million locked up in 2 receivers over the next 4 years. Not counting Burrow's contract. So they have a lot of money locked up in 3 players. They're still talking about re-signing Hendrickson, so we'll see what happens there. I mean, they seem like they're going to go the Saints route when they had Drew Brees, where it's just all offense, no defense. We're going to try and score 50 points, see if you can keep up with us. So it's interesting to see. I don't think it's going to work out in the long run, but they kept their guys together, and that's what they wanted to do.
They needed it, didn't they? I mean, at this point, they had to. Yoshivas is not going to be a number 2.
Jermaine Burton's useless.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. So again, their odds, the Bengals win a Super Bowl. Good job. You went from 20-1 to 18-1 by spending copious amounts of money on 2 wide receivers. Chase, they had to lock up. Higgins is awesome, but they got to get him on the field, and the Bengals have some issues. But let's stay in the North. Your guys, the Steelers, they went from 66-1 to 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. I don't know why, to be perfectly honest with you. Who's throwing the football to DK Metcalf and George Pickens? These are 2 guys that are the same guy. I mean, Metcalf he's bigger and he's stronger, but they're 2 deep threats. They don't have anybody throwing them the ball right now. And you look at the numbers here, Aaron Rodgers is minus 175 to be the next Steelers quarterback. This is from, what is this? Sports. It's an offshore book. Sportsbetting.ag. That's what we're looking at, right? We don't know who the Steelers quarterback is, Tyler. Yet their number moved from 66-1 to 40-1. Aaron Rodgers minus 175. Russell Wilson 100. Jameis Winston 16-1. Talk to me. What's going on with your Steelers? Do you like any of these numbers? Again, Rodgers minus 175. I wouldn't do it. Russ at even money. Winston 16-1. I got to think Mason Rudolph, who isn't listed, is somewhere between 10-1 to 15-1.
Yeah, I want the last name we just talked about, Mason Rudolph, because I really think Rodgers is just using Pittsburgh as leverage to get to Minnesota or get more money out of the Giants. It just doesn't rub me as a Rodgers place he would play. Like, he's not going to have much control over the offense. He's not going to be able to just do what he does on these other teams. Mind you, we might not have that control in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell there, but he has a much better chance at winning there with that wide receiver core, a much better defense. And then when it comes to the Giants, maybe he just likes living in New York. He doesn't want to leave there. So just rides it out in New York. And probably by the end of next year, if he's not there, Dable isn't there, and the GM's not there. So I don't think Rodgers is coming to Pittsburgh. And I don't think that Russ is coming back either. Winston doesn't rub me as a Tomlin guy. I think they might just run Mason Rudolph out there week 1. So that would be my pick for quarterback with week 1.
And what, finish 9-8 again? Have a defense, figure out their running game, because Jalen Warren's going to stay, and nobody's giving up a second-round pick for him.
Yeah, no one's giving that up.
Najee's gone, so they'll probably have a new running back too. the big question here, like you went out and got yourself DK Metcalf. You don't have a quarterback. And let's talk about Rodgers for a second. Because again, minus 175. If you go look at the comeback player of the year award that we can get into, he's 16-1 at this point. He was the favorite to win comeback player of the year last year. I don't know if anybody remembered that. He's washed. Like, he's done, man. Age catches up to all of us. And no matter what he has tried to do the last 2 years, he can't stay on the field. When he does stay on the field, he looks like garbage. Actually, if I was a Steelers fan, I would hope that it's not Aaron Rodgers. The dysfunction that follows, the fact of the matter is the arm strength isn't there. He's completely immobile. If I'm a Steelers fan, I do not want Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, I will give you my take on this because I'm not one of the yinzers that just falls in love with winning 9 to 10 games a year and just can live with that and will just tell themselves that they have a chance. I know this team doesn't have a chance. They're kind of stuck in purgatory with Mike Tomlin. What has Aaron Rodgers done with every team he's played for, Holden?
Detonated it?
Got the head coach fired. That's the only good thing I can come of it.
You ain't getting Tomlin fired.
Now, hopefully he could work his magic if he comes, gets Tomlin fired. We get to get a reset button. So that's the only positive that can come out of that.
Steelers, you are Yins. Because look at the quarterbacks that they've given you since Big Ben was actually a competent quarterback. You can't
but they never even they had their chances to draft a guy.
The coaches and the head coach in the National Football League would not have gotten 9 wins with that roster that they had last year.
But what did it mean? We were the worst playoff team going into the playoffs on both sides.
You'd rather just blow it up
in round 1.
Totally blow it up.
Yes, it's time to blow it up, Holden.
Okay. I hear you. By the way, Stenberg, anybody got a Fields MVP ticket? What's the number? They shouldn't even offer. You know what? Put it at 100,000 to 1. Justin Fields MVP. Age didn't catch up to Tom Brady. It was.
What did you say set it at?
I don't know. What would they? Justin.
It set it 120 to 1. I thought you were pretty close with that.
Is it 120 to 1?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not enough for me to put $5 on.
Yeah, I'm not betting. I wouldn't bet Fields.
Yeah. Well, Lamar's the favorite at 4.5 to 1 to win an MVP. You can get Allen at 650. You can actually find a 550 on Lamar. Burrow 750. Jaden Daniels 11 to 1. Mahomes 850. And then you go way down the line and you try and look for some more. Okay, before we get into our next team that we're going to talk about, that's going to be the Giants here in a second. I want to remind everybody, we got a lot going on at Nuke The House. Check us out, nukethehouse.com. If you haven't used your free week, do it. Code is NASCAR is back. Sign up for any plan. We won't charge you after a week unless you want to be charged. Sign up for the weekly plan with the code NASCAR is back. NASCAR is back. You get a free week. What are you going to get? All our March Madness picks. Foxy's got his picks in there. I'm sure Yegg's going to be helping us out and a few other guys as well. We got our NBA plays, NHL. Zargo's got that taken care of. NASCAR, MMA, golf. What am I missing here? Baseball, Matty. He's up over 30 units as our lead MLB capper last year. So got a lot going on at Nuke The House, nukethehouse.com. NASCAR is back as the code, and smash the like button if you get a second. So is it possible that the Giants sign a quarterback first and then the Steelers are just left with whatever? So the Giants starting quarterback odds, Russell Wilson, even money there too. Aaron Rodgers 2 to 1, Cam Ward 2 to 1, Shadur Sanders plus 425. What do you think the Giants are doing week 1 with their quarterback situation?
I think I don't think it's Cam Ward. I don't think they're going to trade up. I think Cam Ward's going to end up in Tennessee. I think there's a real good shot that they're starting Shadur Sanders week 1 at that plus 425 number for the odds. Yes, it could be Russ, but Russ is also talking to Cleveland. I mean, it's a little bit of a better situation than the Giants, you could say.
True.
So maybe he ends up there. I really don't think I think Rodgers is going to Minnesota. I think this is all leverage play, so I don't think he's on the Giants. And I think the Giants panic and they just go with the quarterback and they end up with Shedeur. So I think that is the thing. That is the spot. I don't see them getting Mariota. Mariota ended up re-signing with the Commanders. I don't see Winston going to start. I don't see Wentz, and I don't see Cousins. I think Cousins is going to stay a backup. So if I'm betting that market, I'm taking Shedeur at plus 425.
Wow. I do wonder if J.J. McCarthy's going to be starting quarterback week 1 for Minnesota.
If he is, just to touch on that comeback player of the year that you talked about earlier, that 10-1 I think is a bet. He's going to be in the same situation Darnold was in. He's got the injury backing him that would allow him to win the award that Darnold couldn't win last year. And he's going to have the same wide receiver trio, and he's going to have Kevin O'Connell calling the plays for him.
Ooh. So J.J. McCarthy, comeback player of the year, 10-1, hasn't taken a snap yet. By the way, let me just read these off. Aiden Hutchinson, 2-1. McCaffrey, 3-1. I mean, I don't know how you can trust that body anymore. It's just broken. Prescott, 350. Trevor Lawrence, 4-1. McCarthy, 10-1. Rodgers, 16-1. Yeah.
I think McCarthy's a spot. He has the best chance to have the best team also with the best record. Like Lawrence is another guy I would like in that market, but he's going to be playing in the AFC. It's going to be a lot tougher for him.
I think the best case scenario for the Vikings is to have McCarthy and then go sign Joe Flacco. I
don't mind that.
That's the way to go because all these other dudes are washed. At least give this kid a chance. And we've seen Flacco be a capable backup. Like if Flacco was a starter at this point, he would still be better than 5 or 6 of the starters.
I mean, and Flacco has shown the last couple of years where he will just whip it down the field. He don't care about interceptions. I mean, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson going vertical on you every play. They're going to beat you a couple of times.
He's definitely not washed completely. So I would say that. If I had to just look at it, I'd go McCarthy, Flacco in Minnesota. If I am looking for Aaron Rodgers, if I got to do an Aaron Rodgers, I suppose the Giants either get Shador or they get Aaron Rodgers, right? The Steelers, I mean, you were just talking about the Steelers. Do you run it back with Russ? Russ is completely cooked. They should go draft a quarterback when it really is. They should,
but I don't think they would move up, and I don't think this is the year to do it. Like maybe they draft Jalen Milroe or one of these guys in the 3rd round, or maybe they go after Dart. I just don't think any of them are all that good coming out this year.
Not even Cam Ward.
No.
I'm not buying into Shador being a bust. The pedigree's there. I love the fact that he's that cocky.
I think if I had to pick one that was going to be good, it would be him.
I think Shador is going to be okay. I'm a Shador guy. Maybe it's because I'm here in Colorado, but I watched a lot of the arm strength is there. The guy can run. Coach him up.
He's shown he can move in and out of the pocket when he's gotten pressure. So that's the biggest thing when it comes to the NFL.
His dad set him up for success as well as.
Also, would it surprise you if the Raiders still draft him and put him behind Geno for a year or two?
That wouldn't. Nothing surprised me with the Raiders.
Yeah, but with Tom Brady there also, like I think that could definitely be a pick that happens.
I don't understand the Geno Smith deal. I don't get it. I don't think it's a big upgrade. I don't think it does much for them whatsoever. So is this just another year where they're saying we'll go out, we'll try and put a team on the field. If we can get to 6 wins, that's awesome. Way to go. Because defensively, they were a little disappointing last year too. But I mean, that's just a team perpetually bad. And it really does go back to ownership. And Tom Brady isn't going to save this organization.
He's not going to save it, but I mean, I think he can improve it slightly. It's just going to be tough to improve in this division. I mean, they might be in the hardest division in football. You got Kansas City. You have the Chargers who are up and coming. They added to the offensive line, and they put Najee Harris behind this offensive line. Not the most popular running back in the league, but he has rushed for 1,000 yards 4 years straight, where he was getting hit in the backfield every play. Now he's going to run behind this Chargers offensive line. Denver improved. Their defense is better too. So the Raiders are just in a very, very bad spot.
Drew Aller is popping up on some odds now to be the number one pick. I don't know why, but he's there. But let's look at the Rookie of the Year odds now. I'll throw them up on the show. Again, this is from Bet Online, so these are offshore books. I don't use offshore books, but they do have a lot of good stuff that we can share. And we'll come up here. We see Cam at minus 375. I don't know why Aller's there. Abdul Carter 2-1. Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, on and on and on. But there's no way in hell you can bet a Cam Ward at minus 375. I don't even know how to go around and try and do this. You would have to bet that the Giants. What you would have to do is bet that the Giants pick number 1. at plus money. That's the only way you could bet Cam Ward, and you got to hope that the Giants pick Cam Ward, and you just don't think it's going to happen.
Or you just put this thought in your head that the Titans are going to do what Houston did, but do it backwards, and they draft Abdul Carter at 1, and then call the Browns and dump picks to get number 2 and turn around and draft Cam Ward, and they just go opposite to start the draft. That's the only way I think that could happen.
And then Carter's going number 2?
No, it would have to be you bet Carter to go 1, and then they trade back up to get Cam Ward at 2.
Okay. All right.
But I just don't see that happening, so I don't think there's much of a way to bet that market. And looking at those odds on FanDuel, Cam Ward's minus 700 to go first overall over there.
Jeez, man. That's insane. And we're not messing with Travis Hunter at 18-1. It's just not going to happen.
No, if he's gonna go, I think his highest overall he can go is 2. I could see the Browns taking him second overall.
Yeah. So here's the team to make the number 1 pick. The Titans are minus 200, Giants plus 170, Browns 10-1. I mean, the Titans need a quarterback. They can't believe in Will Levis. They just can't. I can't see it happening. They should go and get Cam Ward, but it sounds like to you that's just not going to happen.
No, I don't think they will.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We've got some other stuff to discuss. Shout out to Jabroni Clyde. How good can the Bears be? You want to talk about the Bears while I'm getting our next
I think the Bears could be legit this year, Holden.
Yeah.
When you think about what was their biggest problem last year, offensive line.
Bad.
And they went out and they added a lot to this offensive line. Let me scroll back up on this list. They traded for Jonah Jackson. They traded for Joe Thuney. They went out and signed Drew DeLome, a starting center. They spent 3 years, $42 million on him. They're probably also going to draft a lineman and another running back to go with Swift. They add another wide receiver or just bring back Keenan Allen. You're going to give Caleb Williams more time.
Well, they got Zacchaeus. They just brought in Zacchaeus.
They picked up Zacchaeus. Yeah, he's not on this list for me. But, I mean, they added to this team.
They did.
I'm in on the Bears. I think they could be legit. I think they could win double-digit games. I think Caleb could be one of these guys where you look at the MVP odds if you want to take long shots. I think he could explode from what did he have, 3,800 passing yards? I think you could see him up to 4,500 in a Ben Johnson offense. Like, you could see him behind a real offensive line this year, and he could put up numbers. He's 35-1 to win MVP. You could see Detroit regress without Ben Johnson and the defensive coordinator. Are we sure Green Bay is going to be as good as they were last year? Chicago could win this division, so I'm in on Chicago.
That's wild, man. I think
everybody was 1 year too early on them.
I'm not jumping off the Lions train yet. But I do want to give a shout out to Maddie, who's in the house. What up, Maddie? Tomorrow night, that would be Tuesday night, 9:00 Eastern time, Major League Baseball preview show. We'll have the Japan Series game, Cubs and Dodgers, at 6 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. And then how many hours later would that be? 13 to 15 hours later. So 9 p.m. Maddie and I are going to do a little baseball show. Jabroni's got a $100 bankroll right now. LOL. Oh, throw $5 on it. Use 5% and go back what you want to back. Hey, before we get out of here, I do want to talk about some of the line moves on teams and whether or not you agree with them. The Commanders went from 18-1 to 16-1 to win the Super Bowl. They bring in Debo. They bolstered their defensive line. I really like what they're doing there. The Bengals, again, 20-1 to 18-1, just because the two signings. That's silly. You wanted to talk about the Rams. They went from 28-1 to 20-1. Matt Stafford's back. Devontae Adams is in. I don't know if they have a guy that can play the Cooper Kupp role, but Adams is not washed. He still has, wide receiver 2 capabilities. So what do you think of the Rams moving from 28-1 to 20-1?
I think that's the right move. I mean, they added to the defensive line. Also, they brought in Poona Ford from the Chargers. I think the Rams could be very legit this year. Cooper Kupp was kind of a shell of himself this past year. He really didn't do much. Devontae's going to play better in that role. He could also play in the slot. Or they drop in Tutu Atwell into the slot. They also have Whittington. We know Stafford can make these other receivers look good. Kyron Williams is still there. They signed another offensive lineman in Coleman Shelton to play, I believe it just says OC over here. So I think he's just going to play center, but I think he could also bounce around the offensive line. Holding Stafford, too, they probably have a top, 8 quarterback in the league? Probably the second best quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah.
God, I'm in on the Rams. I think they could be right behind Philly. I think they're the second best team in the NFC. So
top 5 coach in the league, too.
Top 5 coach. Defense is legit. They draft well, and they have a lot of picks in this draft. So I'm in on the Rams.
Broncos moved from 28-1 to 40-1. I don't understand it. Now, to me, all they need now is one more wide receiver, and I don't know if Sean Payton agrees or not. And they get the running game going. They bolstered their offense. Are we really getting 40-1 on the Broncos? That doesn't make sense to me, because I'm not giving up on the Chiefs, but I think the gap between the Chiefs and the Broncos, given that the Chiefs really haven't done much in free agency, is not as far as people think. It's not like the Chargers are world beaters. They're a good team, and the Raiders are garbage. I don't think the Broncos win the Super Bowl, but I also wouldn't mind looking up their odds to win the division and just taking a little sprinkle on that. Bo Nix is better than anybody thought he'd be.
I would much rather do the division here. I mean, you're getting plus 460 on them to win the division. I do not hate that at all. I think that is a much better call than the Super Bowl, because even if they did catch up to the Chargers and they did catch up to the Chiefs, how much of a gap is still there from Baltimore and Buffalo? I think it's still really big. And then it's just the question of Bo Nix. I'm not very high on him. I know he played decent last year. But I also thought they played a cupcake schedule down the stretch, and that's when he put up most of his numbers. The beginning of the year, he was not good. I just don't think he can beat these top quarterbacks in the AFC, and it's always going to come down to you're going to have to play one of those 4, if not 2 of them. So I just think he can't beat all of those guys, even with probably the best defense in the league.
Yeah, I like that plus 460. Rams over the Lions or Niners, Josh? I did throw in a ticket right after the season ended on the Niners to, I think, win the NFC and to win the Super Bowl. Their odds actually are even longer now after free agency. I still like the Niners. I still believe in Brock Purdy. I don't think the Debo loss is going to be big because of Pearsall. They lost a lot of bodies on defense, and they're going to have to address that in the draft, and I think that they can. But let's just not forget how great this organization's been over the last 6 years or so, 6-7 years with Shanahan and Lynch. So I still think Bo Nix MVP number. I mean, I could find that for you.
I got something for you here, Holden, after we just talked about the divisions. What about a 90-1 with the Bears winning the North, Denver winning the West, and the Rams winning the NFC West?
Hey, Jabroni Clyde can get in on that for $5. It'll be great.
Yep.
Do it, Jabroni. I got to go back and look at, if you had to set Bo Nix's odds to win the MVP, what are you putting at? Like 75-1?
He's 70-1 on FanDuel.
Here we go, 66-1. Yeah. 70-1 you can find out there. Yeah, there's a 70-1 at FanDuel. I'm not going that crazy. Okay. No. There's a lot better quarterbacks out there, but for them to win the division, I don't think is at that price is not too far off. Not too far off at all. You got a better chance of nailing a Twin Peaks girl than Bo Nix winning. You're right, Josh. And that was throwing shade at Matty because he's now back at Twin Peaks and he's trying to get some girls. Tyler, what are you doing, friend? Go plug some of the stuff you're doing right now, or don't plug what you're doing. And I'm going to plug the site. We're going to get out of here. I just love talking NFL.
I'm really not doing much right now. The only thing I'm really doing as I wait for our guy Spread to get settled in at the new house is we will probably bring back our NBA rundown for the playoffs. We're doing the best ball drafts over on FanSpeak with our girl Meg and Steve. Okay. We do those on Tuesdays at around 4 p.m. Outside of that, though, I mean, I'm just hanging out with the guys on the weekends for UFC and NASCAR.
All right, pal. Well, listen, if anybody wants to check out some of our content, we got a lot going on. Again, Tuesday night, it's going to be the 18th, March 18th, Tuesday night, March 18th, 9:00 Eastern, MLB preview show. Foxy and Ramon are going to do the NBA NHL live betting show Wednesday night. They'll also do a conference or NCAA tournament show. We will be live for the first 4 days of the tournament as well. I'll hang out Saturday and Sunday. We got you covered. We got NASCAR coming up again this weekend. More of the fights with the UFC. A lot going on here at Nuke the House. What up, fathead? We got you in there. No Holden. No me. No me. I'm taking off. I'm done. I'm done till Saturday. Hey, it's spring break, bro. And I'm not going to Havasu, Lake Havasu. I'm going to go hang out with my kids. It should be fun. A lot going on there. NukeTheHouse.com. If you want to check us out, we'll give you a free week. You can get all of our stuff behind the paywall. Use the code NASCAR is back. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House, right here on YouTube, and smash the like button. What do you mean am I ready to work this week? You know what, Josh? Take a hike. Shove it. I like Josh. Nice guy. Always busting my balls. Tyler, thanks for the time, pal. I always appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Hopefully we'll do another one next week.
Oh, yeah. For Tyler, I'm Holden. Let's go nuke the house.